Make sure you've got all your ingredients before you start. Butter, flour, salt, milk, cheese. The quantities are on your recipe sheet. If you chop your butter up into small pieces, it makes the next step much easier. You want your pieces to be sort of cubes, about 10 millimeters by 10. So I've got bigger pieces there. Cut them in half again. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you want small pieces. All right, flour, salt, and your butter chunks. Now we're going to rub the butter into the flour and salt. You use your fingertips for this. Just coat your chunks of butter with flour and then just pick up a few little bits and just press and rub with your fingertips. You've got to be gentle here. You don't want to melt anything and you don't want to actually get butter on your fingertips. There should always be flour in between your fingertips and the butter. Just a little rubbing motion like that. Alright, this is pretty much done. Just make sure you haven't got any lumps left and that as you rub the ingredients together, you lift up and let it fall back into the bowl to incorporate some air. It makes everything light and fluffy, which is what you want. There should be no lumps left at all and it should look pretty much like breadcrumbs. Make a well in the middle of your flour and butter mix. Stick in about half your milk. And start mixing it in. You can use a spoon for this, but hand's just as good. When it starts to get combined, add a bit more milk. That's most of my milk in there now. Try and get it mostly together in one lump. You don't want to leave any loose floury stuff in the bottom of the bowl. Alright, once you've got your dough all kind of together, throw in your cheese and combine that. So you don't want to over knead it. Just sort of pull it apart, get some of the cheese all through it, but you don't want to sit here and do this for ages, otherwise you'll destroy the texture of the dough. You want to keep the air into it, keep it as fluffy as you can, keep it as light as you can. So the worst thing you can do is knead it like you're kneading a loaf of bread. Alright, I've got a bit of flour on this board. This could be your kitchen work surface as long as you've made sure that it's completely clean. And now I'm going to do a little bit of light kneading here, but not much. Okay, just a few times just to make sure it's all combined and you don't have any like folds where the dough's folded over on itself. Alright, what I'm going to do now is spread it out into a layer probably 2 to 3 centimeters thick. It's about, I don't know, as thick as your hand. About like that. Alright, and now I'm going to use my scone cutter. I'm going to use the round side. Get your scone cutter and just cut some scones out. Try and be efficient with it. You can knead your leftover dough back together, but again, don't over knead it. Just bring it back together enough that you can make a couple more scones out of it. Alright, get your baking tray, spread out a layer of flour all over it. Nice even layer, that stops the scones from sticking. Lay your scones out, place them so that they're just touching each other. Just like that, and they're ready to go straight in the oven. This isn't in the recipe, but if you want, grab a pastry brush and a little bit of leftover milk and brush a bit of milk on top of your scones, and that will put a glaze on the top. It'll make them a bit shinier and a bit golden brown and nice looking. And there they are, straight out of the oven. Don't let them get any more brown than that.